In a small village nestled at the edge of a dense forest, there lived two siblings named Hansel and Gretel. They were as different as night and day. Hansel, brave and adventurous, and Gretel, kind-hearted and gentle. One winter, their cruel stepmother convinced their father to abandon them deep in the forest, for they could no longer afford to feed them. Heartbroken and frightened, Hansel and Gretel wandered through the woods, their path obscured by thickets of thorns and towering trees. As darkness fell, they stumbled upon a strange cottage made entirely of candy and sweets. Tempted by the delicious aroma wafting from within, they cautiously approached, unaware of the witch who dwelled within. The witch, with her wicked smile and greedy eyes, invited them inside, promising them warmth and shelter from the cold night. But as Hansel and Gretel stepped over the threshold, the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them in the witch's clutches. For days, the witch fattened Hansel up with treats and sweets, intending to cook him in her oven and feast upon him. Gretel, wise beyond her years, devised a plan to save her brother and herself from the witch's wickedness. When the witch ordered Gretel to check the oven's temperature, Gretel pretended not to understand, feigning ignorance to buy them more time. Enraged, the witch thrust open the oven door to show her, and in that moment, Gretel pushed her with all her might, sending the witch tumbling into the flames. With the witch defeated, Hansel and Gretel escaped from the cottage and ran through the forest until they reached the safety of their village. There, they were joyously reunited with their father, who had spent every day searching for them since their departure. Together, they returned home, where they found their stepmother gone, her wickedness banished from their lives forever. And though they had faced darkness and danger in the forest, Hansel and Gretel emerged stronger and braver than ever before, their bond as siblings unbreakable, their hearts filled with the sweet taste of victory over evil. In a village where the golden fields stretched as far as the eye could see, there lived a peasant and his daughter, Marina. Though they had little in terms of material wealth, Marina possessed a wisdom and cleverness that far surpassed her years. One day, word spread throughout the village of a fierce dragon terrorizing the countryside, demanding tribute from the villagers in exchange for their safety. The peasant, fearful for his daughter's safety, sought a way to protect her from the dragon's wrath. Seeing her father's distress, Marina devised a plan to outsmart the dragon. She approached the beast's lair with a basket of freshly baked bread, its aroma wafting through the air like a sweet melody. As the dragon emerged from the shadows, its scales gleaming in the sunlight, Marina greeted it with a smile. "Mighty dragon," she said, her voice steady and calm, "I come bearing a gift of peace and friendship." Intrigued by Marina's courage and kindness, the dragon listened as she spoke of the beauty of the village and the warmth of its people. She painted a vivid picture of a world where fear and anger gave way to harmony and understanding. Moved by Marina's words, the dragon vowed to leave the village in peace, no longer demanding tribute from its inhabitants. And in return for her kindness, the dragon bestowed upon Marina a gift, the wisdom of the ages, passed down through generations of dragons. With her newfound wisdom, Marina became a trusted advisor to the villagers, using her insight and cunning to solve disputes and overcome challenges. Her father looked on with pride, knowing that his daughter's wisdom had saved their village from destruction. And so, Marina's tale spread far and wide, a testament to the power of kindness, courage, and wisdom to overcome even the greatest of obstacles. And though she remained a humble peasant's daughter, Marina's legacy lived on in the hearts of all who knew her, inspiring generations to come to seek wisdom and compassion in all their endeavors. In a bustling city nestled at the foot of a towering mountain, there lived a humble woodcutter named Ali Baba. Despite his modest means, Ali Baba was known far and wide for his kindness and generosity, always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. One day, while chopping wood in the forest, Ali Baba stumbled upon a hidden cave concealed by a magical seal. Curious, he spoke the words engraved upon the seal, and to his astonishment, The cave's entrance swung open, revealing a treasure trove of riches beyond his wildest dreams. Unbeknownst to Ali Baba, the cave belonged to a band of notorious thieves led by a cunning and ruthless leader named Morgiana. Each night, they would gather in the cave to divide their spoils and plan their next heist, their ill-gotten gains filling the cavern to the brim. Filled with wonder and awe, Ali Baba returned home with a heart full of excitement, eager to share his discovery with his family. But when Morgiana learned that someone had breached the sanctity of their cave, she swore vengeance upon the intruder, determined to protect her secrets at any cost. With cunning and guile, Morgiana disguised herself as a poor peasant woman and made her way to Ali Baba's doorstep, begging for shelter and assistance. Moved by her plight, Ali Baba welcomed her into his home, unaware of the danger that lurked beneath her humble facade. As the days passed, Morgiana watched and waited, biding her time until she could strike. And when the opportunity finally presented itself, she slipped a mark upon Ali Baba's door, signaling to her fellow thieves that it was safe to strike. That night, as Ali Baba and his family slept soundly in their beds, the thieves descended upon the house like silent shadows, their faces hidden beneath masks of darkness. But as they crept closer to their prey, Morgiana intervened, secretly marking the doors of their neighbors with the same symbol. When the thieves returned to the city the following night, they found themselves surrounded by a sea of marked doors, unable to distinguish friend from foe. Confused and disoriented, they fled into the night, their plans foiled by Morgiana's quick thinking and cunning. And so, Ali Baba and his family lived happily ever after, their lives forever changed by the unexpected kindness of a stranger and the bravery of a woman determined to protect those she cared for. And though the thieves may have escaped into the darkness, they knew that justice would always prevail in the end, shining a light on the darkness and illuminating the path to a brighter tomorrow. Once upon a time, in a quaint seaside village nestled between towering cliffs and the endless expanse of the sea, there lived a humble fisherman named Finn. Every morning, Finn would set sail in his small boat, casting his nets into the sparkling waters, hoping for a bountiful catch to provide for his beloved wife, Elora, and their young daughter, Arya. One crisp morning, as the sun kissed the horizon with its golden rays, Finn's net grew heavy with a remarkable discovery: a gleaming silver fish, its scales shimmering like precious jewels. As Finn reached out to retrieve the fish, it spoke in a voice that sounded like tinkling bells. "Please, kind fisherman," the fish implored, "spare my life, and I shall grant you 3 wishes as a token of gratitude." Finn, astonished by the talking fish, paused to consider its offer. He thought of his dear Laura, who dreamed of a life of luxury far beyond their humble cottage by the sea. "Very well," Finn replied, "I shall spare your life. For my first wish, I wish for a grand mansion where my wife and daughter can live in comfort and splendor." With a flick of its tail, the magical fish granted Finn's wish. In an instant, a magnificent mansion materialized on the cliffs overlooking the sea, adorned with glistening towers and lush gardens. Elara's eyes widened in wonder as she beheld their new home, filled with opulent furnishings and treasures beyond imagination. Arya danced with joy through the halls, marveling at the beauty surrounding her. For a time, Finn and his family reveled in their newfound wealth and luxury. Yet, as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Elara's heart grew restless. No matter how grand their mansion or how lavish their possessions, she could not shake the feeling of emptiness that gnawed at her soul. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sea whispered its ancient secrets, Elara stood upon the cliffs, gazing out at the endless expanse of water. She longed for something more, something that no amount of wealth could provide. "Dear fish," she whispered, her voice carried away by the gentle breeze, "grant me a wish. I wish to be as powerful as the mighty ocean, to command the winds and the waves." The magical fish, ever faithful to its promise, granted Elara's wish. In an instant, she felt the power of the elements coursing through her veins, her hair swirling like the foam-tipped waves crashing against the cliffs. With her newfound power, Alara commanded the winds to dance and the waves to rise, delighting in her ability to shape the world around her. Yet, as she reveled in her strength, she could not shake the sense of loneliness that gripped her heart. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Alara's desire for power consumed her, driving a wedge between her and her family. Arya, once the light of her life, now seemed a mere distraction from her quest for supremacy. One stormy night, as the sea raged against the shore and lightning illuminated the sky, Alara stood alone upon the cliffs, her eyes ablaze with determination. "Fish of the sea," she cried out above the roar of the waves, "grant me one final wish. I wish to be the ruler of all, to command not only the elements but also the hearts of men." The magical fish, saddened by Alara's descent into greed and ambition, granted her wish with a heavy heart. In an instant, Alara found herself seated upon a throne of coral and pearl, her subjects bowing before her in awe and fear. Yet, as she gazed upon her kingdom spread out before her, Alara felt a pang of regret pierce her heart. She had sacrificed everything she held dear in pursuit of power, only to find herself more alone than ever before. In that moment of clarity, Alara realized the true folly of her desires. With a heavy heart, she cast aside her crown and her throne, returning to the simple life she once knew. And so, the fisherman's wife learned that true happiness cannot be found in wealth or power, but in the love of family and the simple joys of life by the sea. And though she had strayed from the path, she found her way back home, where the waves sang lullabies and the stars danced in the night sky, guiding her toward a brighter future. In a humble village nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering streams, there lived a kind-hearted peasant named Ivan. Despite his meager possessions, Ivan was content with his simple life, finding joy in the beauty of nature and the warmth of friendship. One fateful day, as Ivan toiled in his fields, a shadow fell across the land, and a dark figure appeared before him. It was the devil himself, with eyes as black as coal and a smile as twisted as thorns. "Ah, Ivan," the devil crooned, his voice dripping with malice. "I have come to make you an offer, a bargain that will bring you riches beyond your wildest dreams." Intrigued but wary, Ivan listened as the devil laid out his proposal. In exchange for his soul, the devil promised Ivan untold wealth and power, enough to elevate him from poverty to prosperity in an instant. But Ivan, though tempted by the devil's offer, hesitated. He knew that to surrender his soul would mean forsaking everything he held dear: the beauty of the natural world, the warmth of friendship, and the purity of his own spirit. Instead, Ivan proposed a counteroffer. "I will agree to your bargain," he said, "but only if you can perform a task that I deem impossible." The devil, intrigued by Ivan's challenge, agreed to his terms. And so, Ivan set the devil to the task of emptying the nearby lake with nothing but a sieve, promising to forfeit his soul if the devil succeeded. For days and nights, the devil labored tirelessly, scooping water from the lake with his sieve and pouring it onto the dry earth. But no matter how hard he worked, the lake remained full, its waters replenished by the ever-flowing springs beneath. Frustrated and defeated, the devil conceded defeat, unable to fulfill Ivan's impossible task. And with that, Ivan's soul remained his own, untainted by the lure of wealth and power. In the end, Ivan realized that true riches lay not in material possessions or worldly desires, but in the richness of the human spirit and the bonds of love and friendship that sustained him. And so, he returned to his humble life in the village, grateful for the blessings that surrounded him and the wisdom he had gained from his encounter with the devil. In a kingdom where the sun painted the sky in hues of gold and the breeze carried whispers of ancient tales, there lived a young girl named Anna. Anna was known throughout the land for her gentle heart and boundless curiosity, but she was happiest when she was surrounded by the beauty of nature. One day, while wandering through the enchanted forest that bordered her village, Anna stumbled upon a small, injured bird lying among the tangled roots of a tree. Its feathers were ruffled, its wing bent at an awkward angle, and its eyes filled with pain. Moved by compassion, Anna gently scooped up the little bird and cradled it in her hands, whispering words of comfort and reassurance. With gentle fingers, she splinted its wing and tended to its wounds, using herbs and remedies she had learned from her grandmother. Day by day, the little bird grew stronger under Anna's care, its feathers regaining their luster and its spirit soaring high once more. And as it healed, a bond of friendship blossomed between them, uniting them in a bond that transcended words and understanding. But as the days turned to weeks and the weeks to months, Anna began to notice a change in the bird, a restlessness in its eyes and a longing in its soul. Sensing that its heart yearned for something beyond the confines of the forest, Anna made a decision that would change both their lives forever. With a heavy heart, Anna bid farewell to the little bird, releasing it into the sky with a silent prayer on her lips. And as she watched it soar into the clouds, she felt a sense of peace wash over her, knowing that she had helped a friend find its wings and follow its dreams. Years passed, and Anna never forgot the little bird that had touched her heart and taught her the true meaning of friendship and freedom. And though she never saw it again, she knew that their bond would endure for all eternity, a testament to the power of love and kindness in a world filled with wonders beyond imagining. In a village nestled among rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a poor farmer and his wife who longed for a child of their own. One day, their prayers were answered when a mysterious visitor appeared at their door, a beautiful fairy who promised to grant them their deepest desire. With a wave of her wand, the fairy transformed a small bull calf into a baby boy, swaddled in blankets of the softest wool. Overjoyed by their newfound son, the farmer and his wife named him Ivan and raised him with love and care. As Ivan grew, so too did his strength and vitality. He was larger and stronger than any other child in the village, with a heart as gentle as a lamb and a spirit as fierce as a lion. But despite his size, Ivan longed to prove himself to the world, to show that he was more than just a simple bull calf, but a brave and noble hero worthy of admiration and respect. One day, as Ivan roamed the fields with his father's herd, he stumbled upon a band of fierce bandits who threatened to steal the village's crops and livestock. With a roar of defiance, Ivan charged into battle, using his strength and cunning to drive the bandits away and save the village from harm. From that day forth, Ivan became known as the Little Bull Calf, a fearless protector of the weak and a champion of justice. With each passing year, his legend grew, until he was revered throughout the land as a hero of unparalleled courage and strength. But despite his newfound fame, Ivan remained humble and true to his roots, never forgetting the love and kindness of the parents who had raised him as their own. And though he faced many trials and tribulations along the way, Ivan's heart remained steadfast, his spirit unbreakable as he continued to defend the innocent and fight for justice wherever it was needed. And so, the tale of the Little Bull Calf lived on in the hearts of all who knew it, a testament to the power of love, courage, and the indomitable spirit of a hero born from humble beginnings. In a kingdom nestled amidst snow-capped mountains and lush forests, there lived a young prince named Ivan. Despite his royal lineage, Ivan was known throughout the land for his humility and kindness, always seeking to help those in need. One frosty morning, as Ivan rode through the forest on his noble steed, he stumbled upon a wounded bird lying upon the forest floor. Its feathers were ruffled, and its wing was broken, leaving it unable to fly. Moved by compassion, Ivan dismounted from his horse and gently cradled the bird in his hands. With tender care, he splinted its wing and nursed it back to health, providing warmth and nourishment until it was strong enough to take flight once more. Grateful for Ivan's kindness, the bird offered him a single feather as a token of its gratitude before soaring into the sky, its song echoing through the forest like a melody of thanks. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but Ivan never forgot the kindness he had shown to the wounded bird. And so, when news reached the kingdom of a fearsome dragon terrorizing the nearby villages, Ivan knew that he had to act. With the blessing of his parents, Ivan set out on a quest to slay the dragon and bring peace to the land. Armed with nothing but his courage and his unwavering determination, he journeyed deep into the heart of the forest, guided by the memory of the bird's grateful song. At last, he reached the dragon's lair, its walls towering high above him like ancient guardians of a forgotten treasure. With a deep breath, Ivan stepped forward, his heart filled with resolve as he faced the fearsome beast that stood between him and his quest. But just as the dragon prepared to unleash its fiery wrath upon him, a familiar song echoed through the air, a melody of hope and gratitude that filled Ivan's heart with courage. And as he looked up, he saw the bird he had once saved flying overhead, its feathers shimmering in the sunlight as it circled above him. With a triumphant cry, Ivan charged forward, his sword held high as he engaged the dragon in battle. Blow after blow, he fought with all his strength, his courage fueled by the memory of the bird's gratitude and the knowledge that he was fighting for the greater good. And in the end, it was Ivan's bravery and selflessness that prevailed. With a final strike, he drove his sword into the heart of the dragon, vanquishing the beast and bringing peace to the land once more. As the kingdom rejoiced in their newfound freedom, Ivan returned home, his heart filled with pride and gratitude for the lessons he had learned on his journey. And though he may have been a prince by birth, it was his acts of kindness and bravery that truly made him worthy of his title, a grateful prince whose legacy would live on in the hearts of all who knew him. In a kingdom where the stars danced in the night sky and the moon cast its silver glow upon the land, there lived a young emperor named Leo. Leo was known for his love of music, and his palace echoed with the sweet melodies of minstrels and troubadours from far and wide. But despite the splendor of his court, Leo longed for something more, of a song so beautiful it could capture the very essence of his kingdom and bring joy to all who heard it. One day, as Leo strolled through the palace gardens, he heard the most enchanting melody drifting through the air. Mesmerized by its beauty, he followed the sound until he came upon a small, unassuming nightingale perched upon a branch. Enraptured by the bird's song, Leo begged it to stay and sing for him forever. And though the nightingale was hesitant at first, it was soon won over by the emperor's sincerity and agreed to remain in the palace, filling the air with its sweet music. As the days turned into weeks, the nightingale's song became a beloved fixture in the palace, bringing joy and happiness to all who heard it. But as time passed, Leo grew restless, longing for new and more extravagant forms of entertainment. Driven by his desire for novelty, Leo replaced the nightingale with a mechanical bird, adorned with jewels and powered by gears and springs. And though the mechanical bird could sing the most complex melodies, it lacked the soulful beauty of the nightingale's song. Heartbroken and rejected, the nightingale flew away from the palace, its melodious voice silenced by Leo's indifference. And as the emperor reveled in the mechanical bird's artificial music, he soon realized the error of his ways. For without the nightingale's song to lift their spirits, the palace grew cold and lifeless, its halls empty and devoid of joy. And as Leo wandered through the silent corridors, he realized that true beauty could not be bought or manufactured. It could only be found in the simple pleasures of life, like the song of a nightingale in the moonlit night. Determined to right his wrongs, Leo set out in search of the nightingale, determined to win back its favor and restore its rightful place in the palace. And though his journey was long and arduous, Leo's heart was filled with hope, knowing that with the nightingale's song, his kingdom would once again be filled with joy and laughter. And so, in the kingdom of Leo and the nightingale, it was said that true beauty could be found not in riches or extravagance, but in the simple joys of life, like the song of a bird in the stillness of the night. In the heart of a bustling toy shop, there once lived a little rabbit made of velveteen. He had soft, brown fur and bright, inquisitive eyes that sparkled with life. But despite his velvety exterior, the little rabbit longed for something more. Day after day, the little rabbit sat on the shelf, watching as the other toys were chosen and carried away to their new homes. But no one seemed to notice him, and his heart grew heavy with loneliness. One day, a kind old man came into the shop, his eyes twinkling with delight as he spotted the little rabbit sitting all alone on the shelf. With a gentle smile, he picked up the rabbit and held him close, feeling the warmth of his velveteen fur against his skin. "This is the one," the old man declared, his voice filled with tenderness. And with that, he carried the little rabbit home to his granddaughter, a sweet girl named Emily. From the moment Emily laid eyes on the little rabbit, she knew he was special. She hugged him tightly to her chest, whispering secrets into his velvety ears and tucking him into bed each night with a soft kiss. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the little rabbit felt a change come over him. His velveteen fur grew worn and tattered from Emily's constant love and affection, and his once bright eyes began to dim with age. But with each hug and cuddle, he felt his heart swell with happiness, for he knew that he was becoming real. One cold winter's night, as Emily lay tucked up in bed with the little rabbit by her side, she fell asleep with tears streaming down her cheeks. The little rabbit watched over her with love and tenderness, wishing he could chase away her sadness. And then, something magical happened. As the first light of dawn broke through the darkness, the little rabbit felt a warmth spreading through his worn and weary body. His fur became soft and sleek once more, and his eyes shone with a renewed brightness. With a joyous leap, the little rabbit bounded off the bed and into Emily's arms, his heart brimming with love. For he knew in that moment that he had become truly real, a testament to the power of love and the magic of believing. From that day forward, the little rabbit and Emily were inseparable. They played together in the sunshine and danced together in the moonlight, their bond stronger than ever before. And though the little rabbit may have started out as just a toy made of velveteen, he had become so much more than that. He was Emily's dearest friend, her constant companion, and the truest testament to the enduring power of love. In a secluded cottage at the edge of a deep, dark forest, there lived a kind woodsman and his wife. They were blessed with 7 sons, each as strong and wild as the forest itself. But despite their happiness, tragedy struck when the youngest son fell gravely ill. Desperate to save their beloved child, the woodsman and his wife sought the help of a wise old crone who lived deep within the heart of the forest. With her guidance, they brewed potions and cast spells, but alas, nothing could cure the boy's ailment. In their despair, the woodsman and his wife turned to the ancient magic of the forest for aid. They beseeched the spirits of the trees and the creatures of the night, offering anything in exchange for their son's health. Moved by their love and devotion, the forest spirits granted their wish, but with a heavy price, their 7 sons were transformed into ravens, their cries echoing through the forest like mournful songs in the night. Heartbroken by the loss of their children, the woodsman and his wife vowed to do whatever it took to break the curse and restore their sons to their human forms. And so, they set out on a journey through the forest, guided by the wisdom of the crone and the magic of the ancient woods. For 7 long years, they searched far and wide, facing trials and tribulations beyond imagination. They braved storms and battled beasts, their determination unwavering in the face of adversity. And then, on the 7th anniversary of their son's transformation, they stumbled upon a hidden glade bathed in the soft light of the moon. And there, beneath the branches of a towering oak tree, they found their sons, their feathers as black as the midnight sky. With tears of joy streaming down their faces, the woodsman and his wife embraced their sons, their love and longing finally reunited after years of separation. And as they held each other close, a brilliant light filled the glade, dispelling the darkness and bringing hope and happiness to all who dwelled within the forest. From that day forth, the woodsman and his family lived in peace and harmony, their bond stronger than ever before. And though the memory of their time as ravens would forever linger in their hearts, they knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush forests, there lived 3 little pigs named Percy, Penelope, and Patrick. Each pig was known for their own unique talents and personalities, but they shared a bond of sibling love that was stronger than any brick or straw. As they grew older, the 3 little pigs decided it was time to build their own homes and set out into the world. Percy, the eldest and most practical of the siblings, decided to build his house out of sturdy bricks, knowing that it would withstand any storm or threat. Penelope, the middle pig with a love for beauty and creativity, chose to fashion her home from colorful sticks and twigs, weaving them together into a cozy abode. And Patrick, the youngest and most carefree of the trio, opted for a house made of straw, eager to enjoy the simplicity and ease of his chosen material. As the seasons changed and the winds of autumn began to blow, a cunning wolf with eyes as sharp as daggers and a hunger that could not be sated roamed the countryside, seeking his next meal. When he stumbled upon Percy's brick house, he huffed and he puffed with all his might, but the sturdy walls held firm, and the wolf was forced to retreat in defeat. Undeterred, the wolf turned his attention to Penelope's stick house, hoping that its fragile construction would be no match for his strength. With a mighty blow, he blew down the walls of Penelope's house, leaving her trembling with fear as she fled to seek refuge in Percy's sturdy abode. Finally, the wolf came upon Patrick's straw house, its flimsy walls offering little resistance to his powerful breath. With a single puff, he blew down the house, leaving Patrick scrambling to safety as the wolf's sharp teeth snapped at his heels. As the wolf pursued Patrick through the forest, Percy and Penelope sprang into action, racing to their brother's aid. Together, they led the wolf on a merry chase through the trees and over the hills, their laughter ringing through the air like the chiming of bells. And just when it seemed that all hope was lost, they reached the safety of Percy's brick house, where the wolf's cunning was no match for the strength of their bond. With a final leap, the wolf lunged at the pigs, only to find himself trapped in a cleverly laid trap, his hunger thwarted by the bravery and ingenuity of the 3 little pigs. With the wolf safely captured and the village saved from harm, Percy, Penelope, and Patrick celebrated their victory with a feast fit for kings. And as they sat together by the hearth, their hearts filled with warmth and joy, they knew that no matter what trials or tribulations may come their way, they would always stand strong together, united in love and friendship forevermore. In a peaceful forest where sunlight danced through the emerald leaves and birdsong filled the air, there dwelled a diligent tortoise named Terence and a boastful hare named Harold. Harold, with his swift legs and arrogant demeanor, often mocked Terence for his slow and steady pace. "Why bother racing, old friend?" he would jeer. "You'll never beat me with your sluggish ways." But Terence remained unfazed, his shell a symbol of resilience and determination. "We shall see, Harold," he would reply with a patient smile. One sunny morning, the forest animals gathered to watch as Harold and Terence prepared for a race, each confident in their abilities. At the sound of the starting whistle, Harold dashed ahead with a burst of speed, leaving Terence far behind in a cloud of dust. Confident of his victory, Harold paused to taunt Terence, boasting of his imminent triumph. But while Harold reveled in his own glory, Terence pressed on with unwavering resolve. Slow and steady, he plodded along the winding path, never wavering from his course. As the race neared its end, Harold, tired from his reckless sprint, spotted Terence approaching the finish line. With a surge of panic, he dashed forward, but it was too late. With a determined stride, Terence crossed the finish line first, his steady pace triumphing over Harold's haste. The forest erupted into cheers as Terence, the humble tortoise, was hailed as the victor. And though Harold had learned a valuable lesson in humility, it was Terence who emerged as the true hero of the race, proving that perseverance and determination were the greatest virtues of all. From that day forth, the animals of the forest celebrated the tale of the tortoise and the hare, a timeless reminder that slow and steady wins the race. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a kindly woodcarver named Ivan. Ivan was known throughout the land for his skillful hands and gentle heart, crafting beautiful toys that brought joy to children far and wide. One winter's eve, as Ivan worked by the warmth of his fireplace, he carved a wooden horse unlike any he had ever made before. With each stroke of his chisel, he poured his love and care into the creation, fashioning it with a mane of golden thread and eyes that sparkled like stars in the night sky. As dawn broke and the first light of morning spilled through the window, Ivan stepped back to admire his handiwork. And to his astonishment, the wooden horse began to stir, its joints creaking as it came to life before his very eyes. With a whinny of delight, the wooden horse leapt from the workbench and pranced around the room, its hooves clattering against the wooden floor. Ivan could scarcely believe his eyes as he watched the miraculous transformation unfold before him. Filled with wonder and excitement, Ivan knew that he had created something truly special. And so, with a smile upon his lips, he set out to share the joy of his creation with the children of the village. But as he journeyed through the snow-covered streets, he encountered a group of weary travelers huddled by the roadside, their faces drawn with exhaustion and despair. Moved by compassion, Ivan offered them shelter and warmth, inviting them to rest by his hearth till they were ready to continue their journey. As the travelers warmed themselves by the fire, Ivan's wooden horse stood guard by the door, its eyes shining with a sense of purpose. And as the hours passed and the travelers' spirits began to lift, they shared tales of their adventures and the hardships they had faced along the way. Deeply moved by their stories, Ivan knew that he could not turn them away. And so, with a heavy heart, he bid farewell to his beloved wooden horse, knowing that it would bring joy and comfort to the travelers on their long and arduous journey. As the travelers departed, their hearts filled with gratitude, Ivan watched them disappear into the distance, knowing that he had made the right choice. And though he may never see his wooden horse again, he took comfort in the knowledge that it was out in the world, spreading love and kindness wherever it went. And so, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Ivan continued to carve his beautiful toys, each one infused with the spirit of the little wooden horse that had brought so much joy and wonder into his life. And though he may never fully understand the magic that had brought it to life, he knew that its legacy would live on in the hearts of all who knew its story, a testament to the power of love and compassion in a world filled with wonder and possibility. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled deep within a snow-covered forest, lived a young girl named Clara. Clara adored the magic of winter, especially the enchanting tale her grandmother told her every year on Christmas Eve, the story of the Nutcracker. According to her grandmother's tale, there was once a toymaker named Herr Drosselmeyer who crafted the most exquisite toys. Among his creations was a wooden nutcracker in the likeness of a soldier. Legend had it that this nutcracker was under a powerful curse, waiting for a brave soul to break it. On a particularly snowy Christmas Eve, Clara's family hosted a grand celebration. Among the guests was Herr Drosselmeyer, bearing his wondrous toys as gifts. As Clara admired the nutcracker, she felt a strange connection to it, as if it held secrets just waiting to be uncovered. Later that night, as the clock struck midnight, Clara crept downstairs to check on her beloved nutcracker. To her astonishment, the room was bathed in a mystical glow, and the toys had come to life. Led by the nutcracker, they engaged in an epic battle against the Rat King and his army of mice. With Clara's help, the nutcracker emerged victorious, but not without consequence. In the chaos of battle, Clara was whisked away to a magical realm, where she found herself in the midst of a grand adventure. The nutcracker revealed himself to be a prince under the curse of an evil sorcerer. Only by overcoming trials and proving his bravery could he reclaim his true form. Together, Clara and the nutcracker journeyed through dazzling landscapes, encountering strange creatures and overcoming perilous obstacles. Along the way, Clara learned valuable lessons about courage, friendship, and the power of believing in oneself. As their bond grew stronger, so did their resolve to break the curse and restore peace to the realm. In the climactic final showdown, Clara and the Nutcracker confronted the wicked sorcerer in his enchanted castle. With unwavering determination and the magic of the holiday season guiding them, they vanquished the sorcerer and shattered the curse once and for all. As the curse lifted, the Nutcracker transformed back into his princely form, and Clara found herself back in her own home. But this time, she carried with her memories of a fantastical journey that would stay with her forever. From that day on, Clara cherished her Nutcracker even more, knowing that behind its wooden exterior lay the heart of a courageous prince. And as she drifted off to sleep on Christmas night, she whispered a heartfelt wish for magic to always find its way into the hearts of those who believe. In a kingdom where the whispers of magic danced on the wind and the forests were alive with secrets, there reigned a wise and just king. His 3 sons, each as different as the seasons, were destined to inherit the throne one day. One crisp autumn morning, the king summoned his sons to his court and presented them with a challenge that would determine the future ruler of the kingdom. He placed 3 feathers before them, each one as delicate as a whisper and as bright as the dawn. "The one who brings me the most precious gift shall inherit my crown," declared the king, his voice echoing through the grand hall. Filled with determination, the eldest son, Eric, set out on a journey to find the rarest treasures of the land. He traveled far and wide, seeking out jewels and riches beyond compare, his heart set on winning the favor of his father. The second son, Matthias, chose a different path, venturing into the depths of the forest in search of wisdom and knowledge. He studied with the wise creatures that dwelled within the shadows, learning the secrets of the earth and the stars. But it was the youngest son, Peter, whose journey led him down the most unexpected of paths. With a heart full of curiosity and a spirit unbound by convention, he wandered through the kingdom, guided by the whispers of the wind and the laughter of the rivers. Along the way, Peter encountered those in need, the poor, the sick, and the forgotten. With kindness and compassion, he offered them his aid, sharing what little he had and bringing light to even the darkest corners of the kingdom. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the 3 brothers returned to their father's court, each one bearing a gift more precious than gold. Eric presented the king with a chest overflowing with jewels and riches, his eyes shining with pride. Matthias offered a tome filled with the wisdom of ages, its pages filled with the secrets of the universe. But it was Peter, with nothing but a heart full of kindness and a soul filled with love, who truly captured the king's attention. He presented his father with a simple feather, its surface as soft as silk and as pure as the morning dew. "I may not have found the rarest treasures or the deepest wisdom," Peter said, his voice steady and sure, "but I have learned that the greatest gift of all is the love we share with one another." Moved by his youngest son's words, the king embraced Peter, his heart overflowing with pride and joy. And as he placed the feather upon his throne, he knew that the kingdom would be in good hands with a ruler whose heart was as pure as the feathers that had brought them together. And so, with love and compassion as their guide, the king and his sons ruled the kingdom together, their bond stronger than ever before. And though they may have faced challenges along the way, they knew that as long as they stood united, there was nothing they could not overcome. In a kingdom where the whispering winds carried tales of enchantment and wonder, there lay a hidden grove where a magical fountain flowed. Its waters shimmered like liquid silver, and those who drank from it were said to be granted their deepest desires. One day, a young maiden named Lyra ventured into the forest, her heart heavy with sorrow. Her village was plagued by famine, and her family struggled to survive each passing day. Desperate to find a solution, Lyra sought out the legendary magic fountain, hoping it held the key to their salvation. As she approached the glimmering waters, Lyra whispered a prayer for her family's well-being. To her astonishment, the fountain began to glow with a soft, ethereal light, and a voice echoed from its depths, promising to grant her wish. With trembling hands, Lyra cupped her palms and drank from the fountain, feeling its cool waters soothe her troubled soul. Determined to make her vision a reality, Lyra returned to her village with renewed hope and determination. With the knowledge she had gained from the magic fountain, she taught the villagers how to cultivate the land and harness its bounty. Slowly but surely, the village began to flourish once more, its fields yielding abundant harvests and its people thriving in the embrace of nature's abundance. And as the years passed, Lyra's family grew strong and prosperous, their hearts filled with gratitude for the magic fountain that had granted their deepest desires. But Lyra knew that the true magic lay not in the fountain itself, but in the power of hope, perseverance, and the bonds of love that united them all. And though the fountain's waters eventually ceased to flow, its legacy lived on in the hearts of all who had been touched by its enchantment. In the heart of a dense forest, there stood a small, frail tree, barely taller than a sapling. While all the other trees around it boasted of their height and grandeur, this little tree felt insignificant and overlooked. Every year, as winter approached and the snow began to fall, the other trees would be chosen by families to adorn their homes for the Christmas season. But year after year, the littlest tree was left behind, deemed too small and unremarkable to be of any use. As the years passed, the little tree watched sadly as its companions were adorned with twinkling lights and shiny ornaments, their branches filled with laughter and joy. But despite its longing to be a part of the festivities, the little tree remained alone in the forest, its branches bare and its spirit waning. One cold winter's eve, as the stars sparkled overhead and the snowflakes danced in the moonlight, a gentle voice broke through the silence of the forest. "Why do you weep, little tree?" asked a kind-hearted owl perched upon a nearby branch. The little tree sighed and shook its branches sadly. "I am too small and insignificant to ever be chosen for Christmas. Year after year, I watch as the other trees are taken away, leaving me behind to wither and fade." The owl hooted softly and ruffled its feathers in sympathy. "Do not despair, little one," it said. "For true beauty lies not in size or grandeur, but in the warmth of the heart." With those words of wisdom echoing in its branches, the little tree made a decision. It would no longer measure its worth by the standards of others, but instead, it would embrace its own unique beauty and share its light with the world. And so, with newfound determination, the little tree began to decorate itself with whatever it could find: pine cones, berries, and even a few stray ribbons that had been left behind by passing travelers. As dawn broke and the first light of Christmas morning illuminated the forest, the little tree shimmered with newfound radiance, its branches aglow with the spirit of the season. And to the astonishment of all who beheld it, families from near and far flocked to the forest, drawn by the little tree's beauty and warmth. They gathered around its humble branches, singing carols and sharing stories, their hearts filled with the true magic of Christmas. From that day forth, the little tree was no longer the forgotten one of the forest, but instead, it became a beacon of hope and joy for all who crossed its path. And though it may have been the littlest Christmas tree in the forest, its light shone the brightest of them all, illuminating the true meaning of the season for generations to come. In a distant kingdom where the hills rolled like waves and the forests whispered ancient secrets, there lived two brothers, Otto and Wilhelm. Otto, the elder brother, was known for his strength and courage, while Wilhelm was known for his gentle nature and love of music. One day, while wandering through the forest, Wilhelm stumbled upon a bone lying in the underbrush, its surface gleaming white in the sunlight. Intrigued, he picked it up and blew gently across its surface, producing a haunting melody that echoed through the trees. Enchanted by the bone's song, Wilhelm carried it home with him, where he showed it to his brother Otto. But instead of sharing in Wilhelm's wonder, Otto's eyes filled with envy and greed. Determined to claim the bone for himself, Otto devised a plan to rid himself of his brother once and for all. Under the guise of a friendly hunt, he lured Wilhelm deep into the forest, where he struck him down with a blow to the head and buried his body beneath the leaves and branches. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but Wilhelm's absence was felt keenly by all who knew him. And though Otto feigned sorrow and grief, his heart was filled with guilt and fear, for he knew that he could never escape the truth of what he had done. But then, one evening, as Otto sat alone in his chambers, he heard a haunting melody drifting through the window, carried on the breeze like a whispered promise. And as he listened, his blood ran cold, for he recognized the tune as the same melody that had once emanated from the bone his brother had found. Filled with dread, Otto followed the sound of the music deep into the forest, where he came upon a clearing bathed in moonlight. And there, lying amidst the leaves and moss, was the bone that had once belonged to Wilhelm, its surface gleaming in the darkness. Trembling with fear, Otto reached out to touch the bone, but as his fingers brushed against its surface, a voice echoed through the night, the voice of Wilhelm, speaking from beyond the grave. In a voice as cold as ice and as sharp as steel, Wilhelm accused his brother of his murder and revealed the truth of what had happened on that fateful day in the forest. And as Otto listened in horror, he knew that he could never escape the consequences of his actions. From that day forth, the singing bone became a symbol of justice and retribution in the kingdom, its haunting melody a reminder of the power of truth and the folly of envy. And though Otto may have thought he could silence his brother's voice, he could never silence the song that echoed in his heart for all eternity. In the rolling hills of a quaint American town, where whispers of old tales lingered in the breeze and fireflies danced in the night sky, there lived a wealthy farmer named Jacob. He was known throughout the land for his vast fields of golden wheat and his generous heart. But despite his wealth and prosperity, Jacob was haunted by a secret, the legend of the golden arm. It was said that many years ago, a poor farmer had discovered a golden arm buried in his fields, and though he had grown rich beyond his wildest dreams, his greed had ultimately led to his demise. Determined to uncover the truth behind the legend, Jacob set out to find the golden arm for himself. With pickaxe in hand, he dug deep into the earth, his heart pounding with anticipation as he searched for the elusive treasure. After days of digging, Jacob finally unearthed the golden arm, its shimmering surface glinting in the sunlight. Overcome with excitement, he hurriedly pulled the arm from the earth and held it aloft, his eyes gleaming with greed. But as he did, a voice echoed through the fields, chilling him to the bone. "Who dares disturb my rest?" it whispered, sending shivers down Jacob's spine. To his horror, Jacob realized that he had disturbed the spirit of the farmer who had once possessed the golden arm. Enraged by Jacob's greed, the spirit vowed to reclaim what was rightfully his and dragged Jacob into the depths of the earth, where he would remain for all eternity. And though the townsfolk searched high and low for Jacob, he was never seen again. From that day forth, the legend of the golden arm served as a cautionary tale, a reminder to all who heard it that true wealth could only be found through honesty and integrity, and that the consequences of greed were far greater than any treasure could ever be. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled amidst towering juniper trees, there lived a humble woodcutter named Hans. He was known throughout the land for his kind heart and gentle nature, but his greatest joy came from his beloved daughter, Eliza. One winter's eve, as Hans returned home from a long day's work, he stumbled upon a juniper tree adorned with berries as red as rubies. Entranced by its beauty, he reached out to pluck a berry from its branches, only to be met with a sudden gust of wind that seemed to whisper secrets in his ear. Startled, Hans looked around, but there was no one to be seen. Shaking his head, he continued on his way, the memory of the juniper tree lingering in his mind. That night, as Hans and Eliza sat by the fire, a strange feeling washed over him. He could hear the whispering of the wind and the rustling of leaves outside their window, as if the forest itself were alive with magic. And then, without warning, there came a knock at the door. Hans opened it to find a mysterious old woman standing on their doorstep, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. "I have come to offer you a gift," she said, her voice as soft as the breeze. "A gift that will bring you joy and prosperity beyond measure." With a wave of her hand, she presented Hans with a small bundle wrapped in shimmering cloth. Inside lay a single juniper berry, its surface glistening with dew. "Plant this berry beneath the light of the full moon," the old woman said, "and watch as your greatest wish comes true." Filled with wonder and excitement, Hans followed the old woman's instructions, planting the berry beneath the light of the full moon and watering it with care. And to his amazement, the next morning, a beautiful juniper tree stood tall and proud in his garden, its branches heavy with berries as red as the dawn. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Hans and Eliza watched in awe as their juniper tree grew taller and stronger with each passing day. And with its bountiful harvest, they found themselves blessed with prosperity and abundance beyond their wildest dreams. But as the years went by, a shadow fell over their happiness. Eliza fell ill, her once vibrant spirit fading with each passing day. Hans was filled with despair, for he knew that he would do anything to save his beloved daughter. And so, with a heavy heart, he turned to the juniper tree for guidance. With tears in his eyes, he whispered his deepest wish into its branches, praying for Eliza's health and happiness. And in that moment, a miracle occurred. The juniper tree began to shimmer and glow with an otherworldly light, its branches reaching out towards the heavens as if in supplication. With a rustle of leaves and a whisper of wind, the spirit of the juniper tree enveloped Eliza in its embrace, filling her with new life and vitality. And as she opened her eyes, Hans knew that his greatest wish had finally come true. His daughter was saved. From that day forth, the juniper tree stood as a symbol of hope and healing in the village, its branches reaching towards the sky like a beacon of light in the darkness. And though Hans and Eliza faced many trials and tribulations in the years to come, they knew that as long as they had each other, they would always find their way home. Once upon a time, in the ancient land of Greece, where myths and legends danced upon the winds and heroes strode boldly into the pages of history, there lived a young prince named Jason. He was the rightful heir to the throne of Iolcus, but his uncle, King Peleus, had usurped the throne and ruled the kingdom with an iron fist. Determined to reclaim his birthright and restore peace to the land, Jason set out on a quest to find the legendary Golden Fleece, a symbol of power and kingship. With a band of brave companions by his side, he embarked on a perilous journey across the seas, guided by the whispers of the gods and the wisdom of the stars. Their journey was fraught with danger and adventure, from battling fierce monsters to outwitting cunning sorceresses. But through it all, Jason remained steadfast in his quest, his heart filled with courage and determination. At last, they reached the distant land of Colchis, where the Golden Fleece was said to be guarded by a fierce dragon. With the help of his companions, Jason faced the dragon in a fierce battle, his sword flashing in the sunlight as he fought with all his might. But just as victory seemed within reach, Jason hesitated, struck by the dragon's sorrowful eyes. In that moment of compassion, he realized that the creature was not truly evil, but merely a guardian of the fleece, bound by duty to protect it. Moved by Jason's mercy, the dragon surrendered the Golden Fleece without a fight, entrusting it to his care. With the fleece in hand, Jason and his companions set sail for home, their hearts filled with triumph and relief. Upon their return to Iolcus, Jason confronted King Peleus and presented him with the Golden Fleece, reclaiming his rightful place as king. And though his quest had been long and arduous, Jason knew that the true reward lay not in the fleece itself, but in the journey he had undertaken and the friends he had made along the way. From that day forth, Jason ruled wisely and justly, his kingdom prospering under his reign. And though many years had passed since his quest for the Golden Fleece, his legend lived on, inspiring generations to come with tales of bravery, sacrifice, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Once upon a time, in a land where mountains rose tall and valleys stretched wide, there lived a small, determined steam engine named Rusty. Rusty was not the biggest or the strongest engine in the land, but he had a heart filled with courage and a spirit that refused to give up. One day, the people of the valley found themselves in need of a great favor. A mighty storm had washed out the tracks that led to the neighboring town, leaving them cut off from vital supplies and provisions. Without hesitation, Rusty volunteered for the daunting task of delivering the much-needed goods. With a determined whistle and a puff of steam, Rusty set off on his journey, chugging bravely up the steep mountainside and down into the depths of the valley below. Along the way, he encountered many obstacles: a fallen tree blocking the tracks, a steep incline that seemed impossible to climb, but Rusty pressed on, undeterred by the challenges that lay ahead. As he approached the washed-out bridge that spanned the raging river, Rusty's heart sank. The gap was wide, and the current swift for even the bravest of engines to cross. But Rusty knew that he had to try, for the people of the valley were depending on him. Summoning all his strength and determination, Rusty revved his engines and charged forward, his wheels spinning furiously as he hurtled toward the edge of the bridge. With a mighty leap, he soared across the gap, his wheels barely touching the other side as he landed safely on the far bank. The people of the valley cheered and applauded as Rusty rolled into town, his cargo intact and his spirit triumphant. They hailed him as a hero, little engine who had proved that with courage and determination, anything was possible. From that day forth, Rusty was known as the little engine that could, a symbol of hope and perseverance in the face of adversity. And though he may have been small in size, his heart was as big as the mountains that surrounded him, and his spirit as strong as the steel that forged his wheels. And so, the tale of the little engine that could became legend in the valley, a reminder to all who heard it that with faith in oneself and a willingness to persevere, even the smallest among us can achieve greatness. Once upon a time, in the ancient city of Rome, there lived a young maiden named Livia. She was known throughout the land for her beauty and kindness, but it was her adventurous spirit that set her apart from the rest. One day, as Livia wandered through the streets of Rome, she stumbled upon a mysterious shop tucked away in a quiet alley. Intrigued by the shop's golden sign adorned with branches, she ventured inside, where she met an old woman with eyes as wise as the stars. The old woman revealed herself to be a sorceress and offered Livia a golden branch, saying it possessed the power to grant her heart's deepest desire. But she warned Livia that the branch came with a price. She must journey to the edge of the world and brave the dangers that awaited her there. Undeterred by the sorceress's warning, Livia accepted the golden branch and set out on her journey, her heart filled with determination and courage. She traveled through forests and mountains, across rivers and valleys, until at last she reached the edge of the world. There, amidst the swirling mists and crashing waves, Livia discovered a hidden realm ruled by the god of the underworld. With the help of her golden branch, she ventured into the realm of shadows, braving the trials and tribulations that awaited her. Along the way, Livia encountered strange creatures and faced impossible challenges, but with each obstacle she overcame, she grew stronger and more determined than ever before. And as she journeyed deeper into the underworld, she discovered the true power of the golden branch. It was not a tool of magic, but a symbol of her own inner strength and resilience. At last, Livia reached the heart of the underworld, where she found the god of the underworld himself, sitting upon a throne of darkness. With courage and determination, she confronted him and demanded that he grant her heart's deepest desire. Moved by Livia's bravery and determination, the god of the underworld granted her wish, and she returned to the world above with her heart's desire fulfilled. But as she looked upon the golden branch in her hand, she realized that the true magic had been within her all along. From that day forth, Livia became known as the Golden Maiden of Rome, her story inspiring generations to come. And though she may have journeyed to the edge of the world and back, she knew that the greatest adventures were those that lay within the heart. Once upon a time, in a village nestled amidst towering birch trees and winding streams, there lived a kind-hearted woodcutter named Ivan. He lived with his wife, Maria, and their daughter, Anya, in a small cottage at the edge of the forest. One frosty morning, as Ivan set out to gather firewood, he stumbled upon a wondrous sight, a magnificent birch tree, its branches laden with silver leaves that shimmered in the morning light. Entranced by its beauty, Ivan reached out to touch the tree, only to find himself enveloped in a soft, warm glow. To his amazement, the birch tree began to speak, its voice gentle and melodious. "I am the spirit of the forest," it said, "and I have been watching over this land for centuries. In return for your kindness and reverence, I shall grant you 3 wishes, but choose wisely, for the magic of the birch is powerful and rare." Overwhelmed by the generosity of the birch tree, Ivan returned home to Maria and Anya, eager to share the news of his encounter. Together, they pondered over what they should wish for, their hearts filled with hope and excitement. After much deliberation, they decided on their first wish to have an endless supply of food and provisions, so that they would never go hungry again. And with a wave of the birch tree's branches, their wish was granted, as their pantry filled with abundance and their fields flourished with crops. For their second wish, they wished for health and happiness, not only for themselves but for all the villagers who lived in the shadow of the forest. And once again, the birch tree's magic worked its wonders, spreading joy and laughter throughout the land. But it was their third wish that proved to be the most difficult to decide upon. For days, Ivan, Maria, and Anya pondered over what they should ask for, their hearts torn between their own desires and the needs of their community. In the end, they made a decision that would change their lives forever. With tears in their eyes and love in their hearts, they wished for the birch tree to remain a symbol of hope and prosperity for generations to come, its magic forever intertwined with the destiny of their village. And so, as the years passed and the seasons changed, the birch tree stood tall and proud, its branches reaching towards the heavens like a beacon of light in the darkness. And though Ivan, Maria, and Anya had long since passed into legend, their legacy lived on in the hearts of all who knew their story, a testament to the power of kindness, love, and the magic of the wondrous birch. In a cozy cottage nestled at the edge of a dense forest, there lived an elderly couple named Clara and Harold. They were skilled bakers, renowned throughout the land for their delicious gingerbread cookies. One crisp autumn morning, Clara decided to bake a special treat for her husband, a gingerbread man unlike any they had ever made before. Using the finest ingredients and a pinch of magic, she crafted a gingerbread man with eyes as bright as the stars and a smile as sweet as honey. But as soon as Clara placed the gingerbread man in the oven, it sprang to life, leaping from the baking tray and dashing out the door before anyone could catch it. "Run, run, as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man," it called out, its voice echoing through the forest. Clara and Harold chased after the gingerbread man, but no matter how fast they ran, they could not catch him. Along the way, the gingerbread man encountered a hungry fox, who offered to help him cross a raging river in exchange for a taste of his sweet flesh. Eager to escape his pursuers, the gingerbread man agreed, hopping onto the fox's back as they waded into the water. But as they reached the middle of the river, the sly fox revealed his true intentions and snapped his jaws shut, devouring the gingerbread man in one swift bite. And so, the gingerbread man's journey came to a sudden and unexpected end, his sweet spirit forever immortalized in the memory of those who had chased after him. But though he may have been small and fleeting, his tale lived on as a cautionary reminder of the dangers of arrogance and pride, and the importance of humility and kindness in a world filled with magic and wonder. In a distant kingdom where the stars danced in the night sky and the forests whispered ancient secrets, there lived a young maiden named Anya. Anya's beauty was matched only by her kindness and generosity, and she was beloved by all who knew her. One day, as Anya wandered through the woods, she stumbled upon a glimmering ring lying amidst a bed of wildflowers. Intrigued by its beauty, she reached out to touch it, and to her astonishment, the ring began to glow with a soft, ethereal light. Unbeknownst to Anya, the ring was enchanted, imbued with the power to grant its wearer their deepest desires. With a sense of wonder and excitement, Anya slipped the ring onto her finger, feeling its magic course through her veins. As she returned to the village, Anya found that the ring had bestowed upon her a newfound sense of confidence and charisma. People were drawn to her like moths to a flame, their eyes sparkling with admiration and respect. But as Anya's fame spread throughout the kingdom, so too did the envy and jealousy of those who wished to possess the ring for themselves. Greedy merchants and power-hungry nobles sought to steal the ring from Anya, desperate to harness its magic for their own selfish gain. Yet no matter how hard they tried, the ring remained firmly on Anya's finger, its magic protecting her from harm. And though she faced many trials and tribulations along the way, Anya never wavered in her kindness and generosity, using the ring's power to help those in need and spread love and joy wherever she went. In the end, Anya realized that the true magic of the ring lay not in its ability to grant wishes, but in the kindness and compassion it inspired in those who wore it. And though she eventually passed the ring on to another worthy soul, its legacy lived on in the hearts of all who had been touched by its enchantment. And so, the tale of the enchanted ring became legend in the kingdom, a reminder that true magic lies not in the pursuit of power or wealth, but in the selfless acts of love and kindness that define the human spirit. Once upon a time, in a kingdom where the sun kissed the meadows and the rivers sparkled like diamonds, there lived a young princess named Isabella. She was known throughout the land for her beauty and grace, but it was her love for adventure that set her apart from the rest. One sunny afternoon, as Isabella wandered through the palace gardens, she stumbled upon a sparkling golden ball nestled among the flowers. Entranced by its beauty, she reached out to touch it, only for it to slip from her grasp and roll into a nearby pond, disappearing beneath the surface. Distraught, Isabella watched as the golden ball sank deeper and deeper into the murky waters. But just as she was about to despair, a voice echoed through the air, promising to help her retrieve her lost treasure. To her surprise, a frog emerged from the pond, its eyes gleaming with mischief. "I will help you retrieve your golden ball," the frog croaked. "But in return, you must promise to be my friend and companion." Though hesitant at first, Isabella agreed to the frog's request, for she knew that true friendship was a treasure far greater than any golden ball. With the frog's guidance, Isabella managed to retrieve her lost treasure from the depths of the pond. Grateful for the frog's help, she promised to honor her pledge and be his friend. But when the time came for Isabella to fulfill her promise, she found herself reluctant to keep her word. The thought of befriending a lowly frog filled her with distaste, and she turned her back on him, leaving him alone in the palace gardens. To her surprise, the frog followed her back to the palace, refusing to be cast aside so easily. With each passing day, he proved himself to be a loyal and devoted friend, his kind heart and gentle spirit winning Isabella's affection. And as they spent their days together, Isabella discovered that true beauty lay not in outward appearances, but in the kindness and compassion of the heart. From that day forth, Isabella and the frog became inseparable companions, their bond stronger than ever before. And though she had lost her golden ball, Isabella knew that the greatest treasure of all was the friendship she shared with her loyal friend, the frog. In a distant kingdom where snow-capped mountains kissed the sky and forests whispered ancient secrets, there lived a kind-hearted woodcutter named Ivan. Ivan dwelled in a humble cottage nestled amidst towering pines, finding solace in the tranquility of the wilderness. One winter's day, as Ivan ventured deep into the forest in search of firewood, he stumbled upon a hidden glade bathed in golden light. There, Amidst a grove of shimmering trees, he discovered a sight that took his breath away: branches adorned with golden twigs, glistening like stars in the moonlight. Intrigued by the wondrous sight, Ivan reached out and plucked one of the golden twigs from its branch. To his amazement, the twig emitted a soft glow, filling the glade with warmth and radiance. Determined to uncover the mystery of the golden twigs, Ivan gathered as many as he could carry and returned home to his cottage. There, he placed the twigs in the fireplace, watching in awe as they transformed into flames of purest gold, illuminating the room with their ethereal light. Word of Ivan's discovery spread throughout the kingdom, and soon, people from far and wide flocked to his cottage, eager to witness the magic of the golden twigs for themselves. But as the days passed, Ivan noticed a change in the villagers' behavior: greed and desire for the twigs that threatened to consume them. Fearing the destructive power of greed, Ivan made a solemn vow to protect the golden twigs from falling into the wrong hands. With the help of his loyal dog and wise old owl, he ventured into the heart of the forest, seeking a way to safeguard the precious gift bestowed upon him. Deep within the woods, Ivan encountered a spirit of the forest, a wise and ancient guardian who watched over the natural world with care and reverence. Moved by Ivan's humility and respect for the golden twigs, the spirit bestowed upon him a powerful enchantment, binding the twigs to the heart of the forest and ensuring that their magic would never be abused. With the golden twigs safely guarded by the spirit of the forest, Ivan returned to his cottage, content in the knowledge that their magic would continue to bring light and warmth to the world, free from the taint of greed and selfishness. And so, the legend of the golden twigs lived on, a reminder of the power of humility, respect, and the beauty of the natural world. And though Ivan remained a humble woodcutter, his heart glowed with the knowledge that he had played a part in preserving the magic of the forest for generations to come. In the heart of the Romanian forests, where the shadows danced beneath ancient trees and the moonlight cast a silvery glow, there roamed a magnificent creature known as the golden stag. Its coat shimmered like molten gold, and its antlers glistened with jewels that sparkled in the sunlight. Legends whispered of the golden stag's magical powers to those who captured it. It was said to grant untold riches and eternal prosperity. Many brave hunters ventured into the depths of the forest in search of the elusive creature, but none returned with more than tales of its fleeting beauty. Among those who sought the golden stag was a young hunter named Radu, with a heart full of determination and a spirit as wild as the forest itself. Radu set out on a quest to find the legendary creature and claim its bounty. For days and nights, Radu journeyed through the dense undergrowth, guided only by the light of the moon and the whispers of the wind. Along the way, he encountered trials and tribulations: a treacherous river to ford, a labyrinth of thorns to navigate, but he pressed on, undeterred by the challenges that lay ahead. And then, one fateful night, as Radu stood atop a windswept hill, he caught sight of a glimmering figure moving gracefully through the trees. It was the golden stag, its majestic form bathed in the moon's silver light. With a silent prayer on his lips, Radu notched an arrow to his bow and took aim. But as he prepared to release his shot, he hesitated, struck by the stag's beauty and grace. In that moment of hesitation, the golden stag turned and locked eyes with Radu, its gaze piercing through the darkness and into his soul. And in that instant, Radu knew that he could not bring himself to harm such a magnificent creature, no matter the riches it promised. With a gentle nod of its head, the golden stag vanished into the depths of the forest, leaving Radu standing alone in the moonlight. And though he returned to his village empty-handed, Radu carried with him a newfound wisdom, a realization that true wealth could not be measured in gold or jewels, but in the beauty of the natural world and the bonds of friendship and love that connected us all. And so, the tale of the golden stag lived on in the hearts of the villagers, a reminder of the importance of compassion, respect, and the magic that dwells within the wild places of the earth.